All right, so we are going to walk through opportunities this morning, and at a high level, opportunities are going to be your business pipeline and your sales funnel, as well as your transaction management platform. So it kind of does a lot of things all in one, and we're going to walk through it each and step by step. As we're going through the training this morning, let me know what questions you have. Interrupt me. You can unmute yourself or chat me in the chat box. I think it's just you and I, so we can keep this pretty conversational.
Okay.
And then hopefully by the end of this, you have a good understanding of how you can leverage opportunities for your business.
Okay.
So to get started, I'm in my command home screen. I'm going to click onto the opportunities applet, which is the icon of the two hands shaking on the left-hand side. And this is going to load opportunities. Now, there's a lot of information on the screen, so we'll kind of walk through it before we jump into the specifics. So looking at my screen up here, you can see I have the Nicholas Core Real Estate Group and then my name. Because I'm set up as a team for training purposes, this would show my team sales funnel, but this is, right now, we're just going to look at mine. And so I'm looking at this. These are my different sales funnels below here. So we have listings, buyers, and leases. And you can see there are 5 different phases for each one. So cultivate, appointment, active, under contract, and closed. And these are going to be the 5 phases of a relationship that you have with a client or a potential client, from the moment that you meet them all the way to after closing. So that way you can help manage and move that relationship along to get them further and further down that sales funnel to a closing. On the right-hand side within each one of those sales columns, there's a GCI box, and it shows your potential income and your probable income. Your potential income is if you were to close 100% of the deals that you think that you project as closing for the opportunities that you create. The probable income is based on the likelihood that you are going to close that piece of business at each different phase of an opportunity. So knowing that when you first meet someone and you're in the cultivate phase and you're still getting to know them, that there's a lower possibility or likelihood of closing that piece of business, this probable income adjusts that, so that way you can more accurately project how much money you think you would be making.
Okay.
So it's going to be the same thing for buyers and leases. Now, one thing to keep in mind is while the phases for each one for listings, buyers, and leases are the same, once we dive into each phase, those are broken up into stages, and those are all different and unique depending on the sales funnel. And we'll walk through all that in just a moment. Scrolling down on the opportunities homepage here, you can see it's going to show us a breakdown of our potential and probable income based on the type of transactions that we have set up here. And then also based on the information in our opportunities, kind of a timeline of activity, so we can kind of gauge what our busy times of year are versus when things are a little bit slower, so we can kind of manage our workload and our lead gen activities. And then at the bottom here, it says, shows closings for this month. So it's just that, top line view of everything that you have going on in your business right now, what's in your sales funnel, so you can plan accordingly.
Okay.
Now, what I want to do is I want to jump into the listings sales funnel, and we'll kind of break that down and kind of go through step by step of each one of these stages, and then all the different actions and activities that you can create for that. So to jump into a specific phase, I'm going to click on cultivate here, or I can click on this little icon of a plant growing, and then I'll take me into the cultivate phase. And you can see here within this phase, I have a watch lead, nurture lead, warm lead, and watch lead 1020. These are all different stages. So I'm breaking up this cultivate phase into smaller stages. One thing I do want to point out with this is that my stages here are all kind of wonky from various command trainings.
Mm.
So I will send you over a checklist in just a few minutes of what you could do for your setup for your actual stages. In the appointment phase, you can see we'll have a whole different set of stages. So we have scheduling, scheduled, kept, appointment. And what these stages are is, if you can kind of envision, we have this pretend opportunity here, and I can move move that opportunity along the process of all the things that I need to do. So if I am working on scheduling my listing appointment, I can have it here and it'll let me know all the things that I need to do to schedule that appointment. Once it's scheduled, the system will let me know, okay, now that you scheduled, you need to print out your CMA, you need to print out your listing agreement and your disclosures, all that information. And so I can kind of just keep track of everything as I move that opportunity, that potential client, through the process. You do have the ability to edit those stages, like I said. So up in the top right-hand corner, it says edit stages. So I can click here and it's going to show me all of my stages.
Mm-hmm.
Now, likely in your screen, if you haven't set any up, they probably won't be any there just yet. So when you want to add a stage, you can click add stage in the top right-hand corner. And then we can give this stage a name, and I'll name this initial appointment. And then the probability, this is where I would say, okay, if I can get to that appointment, that initial appointment, there's a 30% likelihood that this transaction will close, so this opportunity will close. And that's how the system knows what my probable income will be based on this opportunity. Position, so this is going to be the position of that stage. So right now it's going to be in the 5th position, but you don't need to worry about this here because we do have the ability to easily move that position accordingly.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And yeah, so after we save it, we can rearrange it so it's in the correct order. And then below here we have checklists. And we can add different task items that we need to do for this specific stage. So to add a checklist, click add item. And then I can add this as send reminder to seller for upcoming appointment. And then I can click save. One thing I want to point out here is this is pretty new within the last couple months, is we have this checkbox here that says client update. Command now has the ability to automatically send emails, update emails to our clients, letting them know when we have finished or completed specific tasks on their behalf. Because as you're going through a transaction, there's going to be a lot of work that you do behind the scenes that your clients are never going to know. And sometimes it just becomes more work to let them know, oh, hey, I did these 3 things today for your closing or whatever. But now Command can send those out automatically and let them know, hey, today Nick did XYZ activities on your behalf. So if you want to include this specific task in a client update, you can click here and select this, and this will be included in that client update email. So as soon as I mark this as having been completed, it'll send an email automatically to my client saying, Nick sent a reminder to you of your upcoming appointment.
Okay.
So I'm going to click save here, and then I can add another item, and this would be obtain signature on contract and exclusive listing agreement, exclusive seller listing agreement, and click save. So you can add as many different tasks as you want. So I'll click save now, and now it's going to add that initial appointment. Here's my probability of closing. I have my task checklist items here, and I have, excuse me, one item that will be included in my client update. If for whatever reason you want to edit that, over here on the right-hand side, you can see this pencil, and anytime you see a pencil icon in command, that lets you know that you can make an update. So you can just click here, and you can edit any of this information here, and then click save. And if you want to edit any of the checklist items, you can click here where it says 0 of 2 items, and then you can add or remove that from your client update, or you can add an entirely new item to your checklist. Click save, save, there we go. If for whatever reason you ever want to delete an appointment, or sorry, delete a stage, you can just come over here to the trash can, click on that, and click delete stage. And it's that easy.
Okay.
Also, if you want to rearrange the order, all you have to do is click on this box over here in the far left and drag it into the ideal position. So it's that easy. You can just move things up and down. Oh, excuse me. Did not mean to go all the way over there. Any questions on editing the stages of the various phases?
No.
So what I want to do now is I'm going to send you through the chat box really quickly. Where is the chat box?
At the bottom. Mine's at the bottom.
Yeah, I want to send you 2 files for these various phases and stages and all the checklist items. And that way you can at least have this template to build off of. So as you go through and you build your opportunities and your various phases and stages and checklist items, it's all done for you here on this template. And then as you're getting, you know, kind of building more your business and figuring out what works well for you, you can adjust, you can add, delete, change accordingly. Did you receive those?
Yes, I have them.
Perfect. So you can see there, if you pull those up, that's kind of exactly where I get the names for each one of the stages and then the checklist items.
Okay, I have it. I'm saving it now.
So I'm going to go back to my stage, and you can see here we have the ability, we can look at this in list view, kind of how it currently is. Sorry, this is board view, but we can also look at it in list view. So if it's easier for you to look at this way, so you can see all the different opportunities that you have in each one of the different stages. I prefer the board view because it's, to me, it kind of mirrors more of that moving someone along the process, going from like left to right. Any questions so far about what we've gone over? I know it's a lot of information and it's pretty dense. So let me know.
Okay, so far so good.
Okay. So now I want to go through the process of actually creating an opportunity. So up here in the top right-hand corner, actually, I'm going to click back because I want to go. So I'm in my opportunities home screen. I'm going to click on the create opportunity. And this is going to give me the ability to create a new opportunity. So you can create an opportunity really anytime you have a conversation with a client or a potential client about a real estate transaction. So let's say you're at a party and you meet someone, you know, John Smith, and John Smith says, oh yeah, you know, I'm thinking about maybe buying, you know, my first home, you know, next spring. And you're like, oh, that's so great. I would love to help you. Let me know what I can do. Blah, 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 blah. Well, then you can go ahead and you can create that opportunity because you now have an opportunity for a sale. And this way the system can help manage that process and that relationship. So you can create this opportunity. So what you'll do is it'll show your market center. It should default to Atlanta, Sandy Springs. If you're on a team, it'll give you the ability to select that team here. But today I'm just going to leave it as myself. Opportunity type. So we'll select buyer because the potential client we just met was a buyer client. The owner is going to default to you, and that's the owner of the opportunity, not the owner of a piece of property. So that should default to your name as well. Then we have client here. So we're going to want to add our client's name. Now, one thing I want to point out here is that you have to have previously added your client as a contact in command before you can add them to an opportunity. So if you haven't added them as a client yet or as a contact, you won't be able to add them here as a client. So I'm just going to type in Pepper Potts as my client. And then if there's a co-buyer, you can add them here. So I just have test contact that I made from previous training. So we have our opportunity name. It's going to default to the first client's name dash buyer, which is fine at first. But one thing you do want to keep in mind is that for the MCA office, it's best if you include the property name dash client's name dash buyer or seller. So since we're working with a buyer, we don't have a property address yet. So it's fine that you leave it as this. But as soon as you go under contract, it is important that you update that opportunity name to whatever the property address is. So click 234 Main Street dash Pepper Potts dash buyer. Below the opportunity name are custom tags. And similar to custom tags in contacts, we can add custom tags here within opportunities to help slice and dice and categorize our various opportunities. Now, the tags from contacts do not roll over and are not the same tags that are used in opportunities. They're similar, but not the same. So if you want to add tags here, you can do the add tags by how you know that person, the lead source, the part of town they're looking in, the price point they're looking in. And this way, as you go through your year and you look back at all your various opportunities, you can look and say, okay, wow, I did a lot of business in West Midtown, and I did a lot of business at 400 to 500,000 price point. And then you can set your business goals for the next year based on where you want to grow and what you want to change. So you can just, type in, let's say I want to do Atlanta. This is, from a former coworker is how I know them. We're looking in the 300 to 400,000 price range. And we are looking at townhomes. So these are all just some tags that I can help keep track of. So when I'm looking back, I'm like, all right, perfect. I did a ton of townhome business. Maybe that is my niche. Maybe that is where I really need to focus and become the townhome expert. Then we're going to want to fill in as much of the rest of the information as possible. So estimated close date. So this person said they're looking, next spring. So let's kind of say we'll do the end of May. So we'll just do, or excuse me, that's April. Let's do the end of May. We'll do May 28th. So time frame, 6 months. Opportunity phase. This is cultivate. We just met this person, so we're still really trying to cultivate that relationship and establish myself as a go-to agent. So I'll put as cultivate. Opportunity. Stage, I would set that as nurture. And then click create. Oh, commission rate. I'll just put 3% in there because that's traditionally commonly what the buyer's agent will make. So I'll click create. So now we have our opportunity. You can see here we have general information, and this is going to be all that information that we just input on that previous screen. We have a pencil here so we can edit that information at any time. So if you ever want to come back and you schedule an appointment, you kept your appointment, you won that buyer brokerage agreement, finance type, you can, as you learn this information, you can always come back and edit and make updates. Also for the same thing here for the property, once you go under contract on a property, I recommend you come here and you add that property address into the system. And if you just start typing in the address, it'll auto-populate for you and then select the right one and select save. So now what I want to do is I want to quickly go back to the sales pipeline. So we just created a buyer. We have two ways that we can find that opportunity. We can click on all opportunities here, but I want to show you in the pipeline. So I'm going to click on buyers, cultivate. And then here we can see this opportunity that's right here within the nurture stage. I can click here and to look at all the checklist items that I need to do. So it says follow up or mail handwritten letter. I can check that as having been completed. I can check that, put them on a drip campaign, call to action, close. So now it lets me know that I've done 3 of the 3 tasks that I need to do for this stage. And once I complete this stage, I can then move this. I can just click my mouse on the opportunity card, and I can just drag it into the next stage. And now when I come to this stage, I can click on these checklist items, and it's going to have a whole new list of checklist items for me to do. Assist with pre-approval, Keller mortgage pre-approval, compile list of properties, and set up with a buyer. I don't know what that says. But now I know these are the activities that I need to do now that they've moved into this hot stage. So I can click close. And again, so once I'm finished here with the hot stage, and I'm done with the cultivate phase, I can just click on the opportunity card and then drag it into the appointment phase. So now if I click appointment, here is that opportunity, and it is in the scheduling stage. And again, my checklist items have updated based on the checklists for that specific stage. So this is how you can see how you can manage that process along, and the system's going to remind you, okay, now that they're at this stage, here are the things that you need to do to continue to establish yourself as that go-to agent. If you ever want to go into the actual opportunity, you can click on it here from within this card. So I can click here, and it'll take me into the opportunity, or I'm going to go back to my pipeline. The second way that you can find your opportunities is if you click on all opportunities. Right here, it's going to show you a list of all of your opportunities. So I will just come down to the opportunity. You'll see I have a lot of 1, 2, 3, 4 Main Streets because those are all my test ones. But I'll come right here. And this is the opportunity that I just created a moment ago. And again, you can update any of this information throughout the process.
Okay.
Now that we're in the opportunity, I want to kind of walk through each one of these tabs and kind of how that process moves along. So this is the details tab. So this is going to be the overview information of that opportunity. The next is the buyer profile tab. And there's really not a ton of information here, but we have app association and guide. This app association here is going to show if your client has downloaded your Keller Williams app and if they've registered using the same email address. The benefit of them having the app is that they're able to use the buyer guide. So you can see down here we have guide not assigned yet. And I'll show you this in just a few moments, but within the mobile app, there is a buyer's guide and a seller's guide. And so that within the palm of their hand, they can see each one of the steps of what it is that they need to do throughout the process. So if, let's say it's 11 o'clock at night on a Saturday and your client's like, oh, wow, we just went under contract. What do I need to do for, what's my next step? They could just check that mobile app. They can check the guide and it'll let them know. I'll walk you through where that guide is in just a moment. The next tab is documents. And this is probably going to be one of the most important parts of your opportunity because this documents tab is where you're going to upload all of your documents, all of your contract forms for Lynn and Alita for compliance review.
Okay.
this is what's going to let them know that you're under contract. It's going to let the MCA office know that you have a contract that you want to get paid for. Over here on the left-hand side, we have 3 different folders. So for the buyer's folder, the first one is a consultation, and you'll notice here it says do not use, upload docs to under contract folder. The reason is our MCA office does not like this folder, but unfortunately we're not able to remove it from command because it's at the platform level. So the MCA office has asked that we go to the under contract folder, and here you'll see a list of all of these documents that are going to be required or conditionally required or optional. Now, this is not an exhaustive list. There are other documents that you will likely have that you can include based on your transaction. But you do know that for every opportunity, you need to have a purchase and sale agreement, a legal description, a buyer brokerage agreement, affiliated marketing and wire fraud disclosures, and earnest money, so proof of deposit. So those will be required. The last one, the folder over here is closed, and here, this is where you'll put in your settlement statement and your notice of closing. You do have custom folders down here on the left-hand side, and you can add as many custom folders as you want. Some ideas for custom folders might be an inspection report. You can create that folder, and you can come here to inspection report, and then you can add that document. The benefit here of adding items like your inspection report or appraisal is that command can now act as your data warehouse or document warehouse for all of those documents for every transaction. So you don't have to worry about saving them on your desktop and then also saving them in the cloud or on an external hard drive, because they won't ever be deleted. And then let's say in a year or two, your client comes back and says, hey, Nick, I have a question for you. Remember that amendment to address concerns? I thought they were supposed to do XYZ item. Well, guess what? I've gotten a new computer since then, and I don't have it on my desktop. I can say, you know what? Give me a few moments. Let me pull up the paperwork, and I'll let you know. I can come back into this opportunity, and that inspection report is right here. And so I can quickly review it and say, oh yeah, here's that item from the inspection report and then amendment to address concerns. Here's your answer to your question.
So would there be any reason for you to email them any of these documents?
Yes. So all the documents that you put here, like your purchase and sale, your disclosures, buyer brokerage agreement, yes, you do want to send them all copies of those.
Okay.
Anytime that there's a signed document, you do want to make sure that your clients have a copy of it. If you use DocuSign, DocuSign does automatically send a copy of these documents once everyone has signed them. But I recommend, as a part of your business, is that once you have a binding document, you always send it to your client regardless in an email, so that way it's easy for them to find.
Okay.
Now, if you decide to use DocuSign, which I highly recommend and I really like it, you can click Start a Transaction right here. And what this is going to do, this is going to open up a pop-up window or a new tab with DocuSign, and it's going to link command to DocuSign. So I'm going to click Continue, and I'm going to log in. And you'll see here, now I have a room in DocuSign named 1234 Main Street Pepper Potts Buyer. And this is now a room that is synced to command. So any documents that I have in my DocuSign room here, I can easily come back to command and upload. And the way you do that is right here where it says purchase and sale. Scroll over, click add a file. You would select source of documents, DocuSign, and then it would show you a list of all the documents that are in DocuSign. Now, I don't have any here because this is a room I just created, but that's how easy it is versus if you use .loop or if you use Remind, where you have to manually download those documents to your computer and then manually upload them into command. Another thing that I think is really interesting about Command is, let's say you're working with a buyer and you go under contract on a house, and on day 9 of due diligence, they decide this is not the right house for me. There's too many issues with that inspection report. I don't feel comfortable with this. I'm going to terminate. Well, the way that Command is set up and opportunities is that your opportunity is tied to a client and not a piece of property. So you don't want to have to archive this opportunity and start a whole new one over from scratch, because that's unnecessary. You just need to get a new place to submit a new purchase and sale agreement. Right here in this toolbar in the middle of the screen, you can see where it says under contract, and there's a drop-down menu. If you click on that arrow, it gives you the ability to add version. So I can add under contract, and I can name this 12, 15, 20, and I'll create a new version. And here you can see, here's the name of my version, and it's going to wipe out all of those documents. So I'll have a clean slate where I can now upload a new purchase and sale agreement. I can upload a new legal description, a new buyer brokerage agreement. But if there are, again, any questions about that previous contract, I can switch back and forth to that original version. And here would show all those documents. And then I could switch back to my new under contract version. So that's just one thing to keep in mind, because I would say, about 30-40% of the time, a buyer client will terminate. So it allows you to keep that opportunity intact and have multiple iterations of a purchase and sale agreement. Whenever you have a new document or you need to send something for signature, you can come here into your Documents tab and then click Go to Transaction. And that'll open up the DocuSign room and it'll take you right there to that linked room. So that is an easy way that you can get back to DocuSign so you can send any of those documents out for signature.
Okay.
Any questions about the Documents tab within Opportunities?
No.
All right. The next tab is Offers. And this is really unique because if, let's say, you are, more than likely this would probably be something that you would use on the listing side, but in the event that you have a buyer that's like, hey, I may want to do an offer like this, or I may want to go higher in price point but ask for more closing costs, you can input all of those offers here and you can compare them and you can send them to your client so they can easily see your ABC offer comparison. So what you'd want to do here is click Add New Offer up in the top right-hand corner. And we'll do Offer 1. I'll click Create Offer. And it's going to, fill in all these, or have all these fields that we can input information from. So close date. So we would just set this, January 15th, property address, 1234 Main Street. Go to parties. So our buyer's name, seller's name, I'll do John Smith. Check if my client is pre-approved or pre-qualified. And I can put in the listing agent. His or her name here. Now we can put in the terms of the deal here. So we'll do cash. So let's say they're going to put $20,000 down and they're going to finance $325,000. That'll calculate the sales price here to $345,000. So you can see how easy that is.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have earnest amount. So if we want to put 1%, you can put 1 in there and it'll automatically calculate 1%. Or you can come over here and type in the amount of money that you're going to give in earnest money, and it will calculate that percentage for you.
Mm-hmm.
So that way you can make sure that's accurate. Option fee. We don't really do a lot of options here, but if there is an option fee, you can include that here. Termination option. This is going to be our due diligence. So buyer will give notice of termination within however many days after contract. I'm going to negotiate 10 days of due diligence. Excuse me. So seller costs, seller will contribute blank cost to her residential service contract. So if you are requesting that that seller provide a home warranty, you can put that in here. So let's say they're going to provide $500 towards a home warranty, and we're asking for, let's do $4,000 in closing costs.
Mm-hmm.
Then I can click on agent analysis. I can do pros, quick close, lots of closing costs, cons, lots of repairs, most expensive home in the neighborhood. Summary, I think it's a great home. And then click save. All right, now I'm just gonna click right here and I can add another offer. I'm just gonna do this really, really quickly. So do offer 2, because we just want to make this super fast, because we should be able to generate a URL. So I'm gonna click parties, name, Joe Schmo, Lisa agent. Let's make information here. Cash, let's do 25,000, and then finance amount 340, percentage 1, 10, 3,200.
You have, I think that says 10% instead of 1.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for catching that.
You're welcome.
Agent analysis, we'll leave this as is. Save, all right. So now you can see we have our 2 different offers here. Now this generate offer URL, I thought this was live. It should be rolling out soon. It probably just hasn't gotten to me yet. But what you can do is you can send a URL to your client, and then they can look at both of those offers side by side.
Okay.
You also have the ability here, you can edit the offer. You can send that offer. So I can send this to the client and say, here is your offer. And you can send this offer. Boop. So it's going to send an email to your client saying, here is that offer. Now the URL will be really cool because that way you can update it. That URL will automatically update as you add new offers or make changes to it. So this is just a great way that you can go through and organize your offers so that way your clients can see them side by side.
So would there be a way you could automatically send this, or you have to just go in and send them by themselves?
Well, you'd have to send them, I think, by themselves. But I thought, my understanding was that with this URL, it would put them all together, so they would just be,
You just click it and go.
Yep. Now, you notice here we have our offers tab, and we have 2. And then to the right here, it says commissions, and that's grayed out. Right now, and in the past, whenever we go under contract, we have submitted a green sheet to the MCA office, and that green sheet lets them know that we have a transaction in process and sets up the finances for that transaction. So what the sales price is going to be, closing costs, commissions, and then they can then calculate, how much we have to pay in terms of our cap to Keller Williamson First Atlanta. The plan is, and the future is, that we're going to move to this commissions tab instead of green sheets. In order for this commissions tab to light up to become usable, we have to select and accept an offer. Okay. So let's say our clients decided to move forward with this offer right here. So we can click accept. And as soon as you click accept, this commissions tab is now usable. So I can click on the commissions tab, and you come over here, and it's going to start to calculate all of those royalties and all those fees. Now you do need to edit it and make sure everything's correct. So you can see here I'm missing that contract date. So I can click edit general information. we have a contract date of, let's say, December 15th. Click Save Changes. If you need to add another agent or a co-broker payment, so if you have a referral, you could add that here. Or let's say if you and a friend are both working with these buyers, you can add that agent here. So I can type in agent friend in the office, and you can type in, you know, how much they're doing here. So I'm going to click cancel on that. Then you can come down here, and this is going to automatically calculate based on all that information that you put in the system for sales price, but you can make any changes that you need to. So our gross commission, net pay to the agent, our royalty fee, how much I owe, you know, to the company for First Atlanta, and then all these other fees down here.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's going to show you that up here. One thing you're going to want to do before you click submit is you have to add a note here and include the FMLS number and the Georgia MLS number.
Okay.
And make sure you include those pieces of information, because that is what is going to let the MCA office know that you used, that this is an FMLS listing, because we are an FMLS contracted office, so we have to use them. So there is a payment to them for any FMLS listing. So you'd want to include that information there, and then click Save Changes. Now you could go back and you could edit that information if you needed to, but then once everything is good to go, all the numbers look good, you can click Submit. And this would submit to the MCA office, so they would know to be on the lookout for that earnest money check. They would know to start processing this money and know that you will have a closing on January 28th. One thing I want to point out about commissions, which is kind of a little bit of a flaw, is that if you submit a commission in command, so let's say you go under contract, you submit this commission to the MCA office, you're like, yay, I'm so excited to have a closing on January 28th. And let's say they get that inspection report back and those clients terminate. They're like, you know what, this is, again, I'm too worried about this house, there's too many issues. Well, I showed you before how in the Documents tab, you could just create a new version of that.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, if you submit a commissions in the Commissions tab, you are unable to create a new version. At that point, you would have to archive the entire opportunity and create a new opportunity.
Okay.
Pain in the butt. Don't know why it's set up that way. They've gotten a lot of feedback for it, but that is how it is. But I just want to set that expectation. So you can still use green sheets. I still use green sheets because, you know, if it terminates, I want to be able to more easily update my opportunity. But I just wanted to set that up, let that out there so that way you know as you're setting up your command.
Okay.
The next item here is notes. And notes can be anything. This is for your eyes only. This isn't going to be shared with the client. It's not going to be shared with Alita or Lynn with compliance. So you can just add a note here. Let's put loves pizza. Favorite pizza is Fellini's. You know, you can put whatever note it is that you want. Save note, and now you have a note here. So again, if 2 years in the future, your clients are like, oh, hey, I have a question, you can come back and you can double check your notes and say, oh, okay, that's right. I remember you really love Fellini's. I mean, imagine your note would probably be a little bit more specific to, you know, we used housemaster inspectors, and Brian was a great inspector. He was really thorough. And you can say, oh, this lender was not great, very difficult to work with. And it's just notes, so that way you can, you know, help adjust your business, and you can always double check or come back in the future if you need to. Let me plug in my computer. And then the last tab over here is timeline. And timeline is going to keep track of all the activities in your opportunity. So if there's ever a question of, when did you complete a certain task, or when did you submit that commission for review to the MCA office. You can come back and it's going to show you every single thing that you've done within this opportunity since you created it.
Okay.
And this is for your eyes only, but it's really just in case there's ever concern of like, oh, you never sent that email to me with the opportunity, or you never submitted that commissions tab. We can come back here and you can say, oh, I did submit that commissions tab. If I scroll right here, I submitted it on, at 10:43 on December 15th.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's all right there so you can keep track of everything.
Okay.
Any questions so far about what we've gone through with opportunities?
No.
All right. So I had mentioned to you earlier with the buyer profile, we have an app or the guide within the app. I want to quickly show you that guide and where you can go to edit that. It is a part of my app training, so later on within the schedule. But I just want to give you a preview of it, so if you wanted to go through, you can start playing around with it now. But if you go to the consumer applet, so this last one down here in the left, we have these 3 tabs at the top: landing pages, agent site pages, and guide builder. Click on guide builder. And you'll see here we have our buying and selling guide. So I'm going to click on the buying guide. I'm going to click the pencil so I can edit. And this is going to show me all these different steps of the buyer's guide. Now, mine is all wonky because I've gone through and I've made a bunch of random updates based on trainings. But here's where you can see those step-by-step guides that's already made for you, which is really nice. So you don't have to make any changes to it, but you do have the ability to edit. So let's say for inspection here. So you can click on inspection. You can change the image here if you wanted to. You could change the title. You also can come down here to workspace details. And what's really beneficial is that you can start adding in important pieces of information. So like I could add here in home inspector recommendations. So I can include 3 inspector recommendations in the app. So once we go under contract, I can say, hey client, congratulations, we've officially gone under contract. Now you need to schedule an inspection. If you check the guide in your mobile app, I have recommended 3 different inspection companies. They're all equally great. I recommend that you give them a call to see which one would be a great fit for you. And that information is in the palm of their hand. You can do that also with lenders, closing attorneys, any service that you think would be benefit is you can include all of that information there. So it's right there, and you don't have to send follow-up emails, and they don't have to ask you for it at 10:30 at night. So check out the guide builder within the consumer applet. And then you also have, if I go back, we have the selling. So what it's like to sell your home. So very similar process. That is the guide. Any questions on that?
No.
All right, and then the last thing I want to quickly talk through is, remember earlier when we were going through, let me just come back here really quickly. Come over here. I was going through all the different tasks that you have. This is not the right one. Let me exit out of here. Let me get back to the right one. I forgot I was over here in buyers. So remember I was telling you earlier that we have our checklist items here. And we have the ability to send them as client updates. So that way the system will send emails automatically to our clients to let them know that we've accomplished specific tasks on their behalf. Well, if you want to do that, you need to set that up in your settings first. So if you come up to your name in the top right-hand corner and then click on settings, then on the left-hand side, we'll go to command settings. We'll click on opportunity settings, and then we'll click on client update. And here we'll be able to set the default settings for these client update emails. Now, you do have the ability within each opportunity to make any adjustments, but it's good to go ahead and make some standards across the board. So we can start here with these emails will be sent out at 10:30 in the morning. They'll be sent from the Rainmaker. Well, I guess this is under the team. Let me click here under my own. So this will be the same as what you should see here under your name. Send from owner, so that way it will come from you. We want to send to the client and the co-client, so both buyers or sellers. You also want to send to the owner of that opportunity, so you. And then we have our template. You can click on preview here, and this is what that email is going to look like. John Smith, we're checking things off the list. Here's a summary of the tasks we've completed for. Here's the property address, and then here are the items that we've done by your side every step. And then here, it'll be your image and information there. So that is the preview. So you want to go through and change those settings. I want to make this be 10 o'clock. I like 10:30 in the morning, so I'll click Save Changes. Perfect. And now I have updated those settings for those opportunity client update emails. Now, if I go back into opportunities, I'm going to come down here to my buyer opportunity. I can click into that opportunity right here. And then up in the top right-hand corner, you can see I have my checklist of items, so I can see what all those checklist items are. I can add an item if I wanted to specifically for this opportunity. I can click on client updates right here. And again, this will allow me to make any edits or changes to those client updates. Now, before I actually start sending out emails, I have to turn this toggle on to send daily progress emails for this opportunity. I have to let the system know that yes, for this opportunity, please send these emails. And I'll double check everyone I want to send it to. I can add an additional contact here. So if you want to include maybe your mentor or a co-broker that you're working with, you can do that here. And then click Save Changes. There we go. Then you can also come over here to the checklist items, and you can add which specific items will be included in those client updates for this specific phase and stage. Click Close. So now I've set my client up to receive those updates. I'm going to go back to my pipeline because there's one last thing I wanted to show you, which I didn't show you earlier, so my apologies. So I'm going to go back into my sales funnel. So I'm going to look here. I can see this is my opportunity that I've just created. Here's my checklist of items that I've added at the phase and stage level. But now that I have a specific opportunity for these different checklist items for this stage, I can come over here and I can set a due date. So if I need to start a client, start to create client, whatever, I don't know what it's saying, I can give that a due date of January 23rd at, let's just do 11 a.m. And now when I log into Command on December 23rd, it's going to say, Nick, you need to start to create a client, whatever that task is. And then I can also set a date for this item here, and I can set this for December 30th. So once you have an actual opportunity, you can start assigning deadlines to each one of those checklist items. So that way, when I click Close, so when I log into Command, let me just I'll just go to my home screen. Here it's going to show all of my tasks. These are all my past due tasks. Let me go. Oh, these are all past due. It will show up here when you log in that this is your new task. And if I come over here to my tasks applet, I can look at opportunity tasks, and I can say, what are my tasks for the next 30 days? I click here, start to create client, whatever this is. Oh good, I moved that. Perfect. Before you were not able to change the width of your columns.
Oh,
Start to create a client folder and include client contact info, MLS, printouts, all that. So now I know these are my activities, are my actions I need to do, and these are the due dates. I can snooze them if I wanted to, or I can delete them.
Mm.
So this is how the system helps manage your workload from start to finish. What questions do you have about opportunities? What can I clarify? What can I show you again?
As always, everything is pretty much like not easy, but self-explanatory. It's just a lot of steps, just remembering the steps.
Yeah.
Playing around with it, I'm pretty sure like I would be able to get it. And like you said, if I have any questions, I know I could just come to you and ask you.
Please, yeah. So I sent you those checklist items, so at least it's a template for you to start building out your sales funnel.
Yes.
And as you're working on those, let me know what questions. We can always set up, 30 minutes or an hour, and we can do that together, or we can dive a little bit deeper into any other questions that come up for you.
Okay. I do have 2 more questions before we log off. I see on the links, there's a link and it says with you it's like tech training or something. I didn't know what that was. I thought it was just like you helping people fix things with commands. So I never like logged onto it. What is that?
So on Mondays and Wednesdays from 2 to 3 o'clock, I have tech office hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I just sit on Zoom for that hour. And if you have any questions about command or any tech issues, you can log on and we can spend that time answering those questions.
Okay.
You can still schedule one-on-ones with me if that time doesn't work for you. But if you just know, oh, I have a quick question and I'm not busy at 2 o'clock today, you can just log on.
Okay. Awesome. And then my second question was, how do I go about like getting a mentor? Do I need to come up there?
So reach out to John Mark about that. I know that he's making some changes to the mentor program.
Okay.
So reach out to him about that and he can get you up to speed on that.
Okay. Thank you.
You are very welcome. Shakira, thank you for joining me this morning. And please do not hesitate to reach out if any questions come up as you're playing around in Command.
Okay. And I'll see you again this week.
Awesome. Yep. See you on Thursday.
All right.
Bye.